Welcome once again to Business Live, and we start with our summaries for today. And Energy Commercial Bank is on course to receive final approval from the Securities and Exchange Commission to float shares on the Ghanaian investing public by August 2018. Also coming up, the Registrar General's office wants government to increase its internally generated fund from the current 13% to a minimum of 20%. We have the details in our summaries today.
The Registrar General's office wants government to increase the percentage of the internally generated funds it retains from 13% to a minimum of 20%. The IGF, which is the office's only source of funding, had been at 20% before, but was later reduced to 13%. The Registrar General, Jimaimo Ware, argues that this has limited the efficiency of operations of her office. She said her office is highly challenged due to lack of resources to work with, adding the current software being used has changes and is quite expensive. The management of gold mining firm Azuma Resources has appealed to the government to defer royalties for gold for 5 years when the company starts full mining in the Upper West region. The company has further requested government to tamper with its value-added tax obligation that could arise from the construction of the mine if the final processes, including a mining license, are approved. The appeal, the management said, was occasioned by the financial outlay already sunk into prospecting and exploration of gold. Managing Director Stephen Stone said Azuma Resources had already invested at least $80 million into its prospecting and exploration activities in the Wa Enclave and would need a further $140 million to construct the mine for proper and full-time operation. Energy Commercial Bank is on course to receive final approval from the Securities and Exchange Commission to float shares to the Ghanaian investing public by August 2018. Presently, the listing prospectus is with the SEC for final scrutiny and approval. The process to allow Ghanaians to become part owners of the lender began in March 2018, and the financial intermediary is expected to list on the Ghana Stock Exchange right after the initial public offer. Energy Commercial Bank is hoping to float over 50% shares to Ghanaian institutional and retail investors. This is expected to bring in over 340 million Ghana cedis during the flotation period to enable the bank to recapitalize to more than 400 million Ghana cedis. Royal Dutch Shell plc is in talks to sell 2 Nigerian oil licenses in an area that's at the heart of environmental and human rights controversies for $2 billion, according to people familiar with the plan. The Anglo-Dutch oil major is discussing selling oil mining licenses 11 and 17 to Hairs Holdings Limited, a company run by Nigerian tycoon Tony Elumelu. Included in the sale are infrastructure assets such as a natural gas-fired power plant that would be managed by Transnational Corporation of Nigeria plc, another company run by Elumelu.
So those were our summaries for the day, but we pause here for a short commercial break. When we come back, Business Live continues.
Welcome back to Business Live. I want to take you now to the head office of the battled Midland Savings and Loans Company at Shiashi in Accra with a story about panic withdrawals. This follows the Bank of Ghana's investigations into liquidity challenges affecting the bank. Ebenezer Sabate has been speaking with some customers of the company.
Investor, my issues since I've fallen down here into like me baha. So like me head here koso, but me buy me nya management ba kwa chemi mu say yeah investment ne dey yen twen kakra no ma savings no amodjom dey wi a ochena yemla on be sort out.
And who your investment, so how many years near on your investment? Okay,
investment you 2 years, but my try 1.5 year. That was next year February next beso.
So basically what he's trying to say is that he invests here with Midland Savings and Loans, but because of one or two issues he had yesterday, he came around to see whether he could be able to assess his investment. But management, engaged him and actually explained things to him that he couldn't take his investment today, but he could be able to get it tomorrow. So he will be trying again to come tomorrow to see whether he can be able to take his investment. But
me music time about because Andra ya ba say be jiska ana a crucifix no mpenifo no be ka say yenya abotre na asan kofo bi frɛ etrete company ne so mba be
Andra de na me wa enti uyi a ube close account na asan anasa uyi na ube fufro asan be
me ni once and for all me hwe ha bi
okay enti udi na ye deposit anasa ye susu no se be sense udi wani sha
ene be 500 ba me ka credit susu enti no kakran so ha me pese me be na me close bibia once and for all because me ameni na papa ba kono ye na so agna han kofo atwa na mfe enti later on yasan so aboma me no nsemi so mentumi nje boro because me mentumi fa mesika mesi na later on yambo me nka ho.
Okay, so what he's saying is he cannot stand such a beatings anymore because he was here, he witnessed everything. Therefore, he's trying to take his money, his susu money, and then close the account once and for all. Tell us how much you have in and how much you're able to withdraw.
Oh, I'm having about 52,000 in my account, but they have given me 5,000. They assured me that I should go and come back. They can also give, because there is many people here, so they cannot give the money to one person. So they are doing it bit by bit so that they can be able to sort out everybody today. That's the reason why. Because normally first when I come, I can be able to take a lot of money. But today, because of the pressure here, they cannot give the money to everybody. If I come, I say I want to take all my money, somebody will be here, the person will not get his or her own. So they are doing it bit by bit so that they can be able to serve everybody.
But at what time have you gotten here this morning?
Oh, I was here around 8 a.m.
So like 4 hours ago when you came here,
yes,
and you've been able to access your money?
Yes, please.
So the question is, are you going to keep the account or you are coming back to do business with them?
I'll still keep the account.
You still keep the account?
Yeah.
You still have confidence in them?
I still have confidence, but it's not like the first.
That's fine. Thank you very much. So you've seen one of the customers who we've spoken to. He has been able to access her money. She's having about 50,000, more than 50,000 in her investment account. But today they've been able to give her at least 5,000 cedis, which she thinks she can be able to manage with whatever situation she's having. She still has confidence in the bank and will come back to do business with them. We'll be engaging more people and then give you the feedback.
Meanwhile, head of customer relations at Midland Savings and Loans, Albert Nyako, has been denying claims that the company is facing liquidity challenges. According to him, there was a technical challenge which has been resolved and all the funds of customers are safe. He spoke to Ebenezer Sabote.
So for tomorrow, we will be open to the public for full-time business. Everybody's investment is safe. We are regulated by Bank of Ghana. There is no way anybody will run away with any customer's investment. So our customers should stay calm. I believe that your station should also send it across to the various customers that we have. They should stay calm even as we open our branches tomorrow for normal business operations to begin. Thank you very much.
What about the liquidity challenge that have been raised?
There are no liquidity challenges. It all has to do with what? The network. There are no liquidity challenges. So everybody will be attended to tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Latest developments at Midland Savings and Loans. Moving on now, the National Petroleum Authority has suspended 8 oil marketing companies, including Union Oil Ghana Limited, for tax evasion. The others include Agapet Limited, Excel Oil Company Limited, Missile Energy Company Limited, and Globex Energy Company Limited. The suspension is expected to go on for the next 3 months or so. A statement released by the NPA said the companies were involved in activities that led to the loss of some tax revenue to government. According to the NPA, the culpable companies are to, quote, desist from engaging in the sale, supply, transportation, discharge, and receipt of petroleum products for the duration of their suspension. Get you the thoughts of energy expert Ishmael Ejekum-Hene, who obviously has also been following the story for us. Thanks for your time tonight. Help us understand how serious this is.
Well, tax evasion is an economic crime, and I'm surprised that it's just the MPA that is sanctioning them, and it's only going to be for a period of 3 months. If it's truly established there's been tax evasion, then beyond the MPA suspension, I think the GRA should be interested in this, the serious or Yoko should be interested as well. Tax evasion everywhere. Once the perpetrators are caught, dealt with, and not only suspended from operation.
As we know now, it's 8 companies that have been suspended. Do you think there are more?
There could be more, but obviously once you have so I guess the sense is now that be more that they should intensify. You have the kind of regulations that provide, and then I think the taxman should also move in quickly and start making sure that everybody does what they are supposed to be. But even more importantly, I would have been happier some of these stations were probably for reaching some of the standards like product quality and things like that. Tax evasion is really maybe their mandate, but they are just sending a signal to the tax get interested in what they are doing.
All right, I'll ask you about the decision by the MPA to suspend them for 3 months, but doesn't this also point to lapses in our system, that they evaded taxes for a period of time?
Yes, there are lapses, and you wonder why it's taking MPA this long to even detect it, or the GRA. Why is it only the MPA but not the GRA, for example? When it comes to taxes, it's the GRA. So, but I think let's even applaud them for bringing these perpetrators to book. But I think you should go beyond suspension. The taxman should very quickly move in and make sure that there are other sanctions that will be applied. Then they can also extend it to other companies in the industry.
And as we know, the MPA has suspended these companies for 3 months. We don't know what the thinking is and what will happen after 3 months. Do you think that that is tough measure enough, and what should be the way forward?
Tax evasion, Darrell, is a crime. You see, when somebody evades a tax, I haven't heard anywhere in those suspension where they have been asking to fund the tax that was paid. Okay. So probably it's not MPA's business to levy any taxes. But I think the MPA, what they have done, to get the GRA to quickly move in and get them to pay. And if there are sanctions for tax evasion, it should be applied. If a trader who sells or any business fails to declare their profit, they are sanctioned. We know the taxman in those premises shouldn't stop at just suspension. If truly there are tax has been evaded tax,
okay,
it's criminal. And I think the police and all the entities are supposed to ensure that their taxes should move.
All right, thanks very much for your thoughts tonight. That was Ishmael Ejekumuhene. He is an energy expert. You're still watching Business Live. We are moving on tonight. Some members of the business community are still unhappy about the implementation of the cargo note tracking system, or the cargo tracking note. Now, these disgruntled businesses have described the move by the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority as mere duplication of existing systems. Now, Executive Secretary of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, Eddie Akrong, says they're doing everything legally possible against the implementation of the system. He also disclosed to Joy Business, or he disclosed this to Joy Business after a bi-monthly meeting of the Ghana Chamber of Commerce in Tema. In February this year, government suspended implementation of CTN after initial resistance from businesses. The business community, however, fears GRA's current position about CTN could go contrary to earlier directive by government. According to the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, the role of CTN will not differ from systems including pre-arrival assessment reporting systems.
The business community is against this because it is coming at cost to them. As we speak now, it is total chaos out there, and you see the effect by next month or so, because throughput is going to go lower, it's going to dip. There are a lot of people who want to ship containers and cannot do that because the shipping lines have been told that without a CTN number they cannot ship. We have a letter from the Vice Presidency which says this thing has been suspended, and suspended for good reason. In fact, if you go through the letter, it tells you the reasons why it has been suspended. A manifest committee was formed, and this manifest committee came up with the COSCA D11, which is the new manifest set, which was going to come into effect from September 1. Now, this manifest can do 10 times what the CTN is going to do. Why do we want to run a parallel system which will come at a cost to the trading public?
Meanwhile, technical advisor to the Commissioner General of the GRA, Christian Tetesoti, thinks otherwise.
But you see, the CTN, you in Ghana, you don't have any role to play. So whether you are duplicating or not, you don't have any role. It is the exporter that gets onto the system and enters this thing. So where comes the issue of duplication? Yeah, so we are not charging. So what was the issue again? No, I said after the period, it will be reviewed to see whether it's really necessary and is benefiting us. And if it is, then the way forward will be given. If you go to India, it's in operation. Even though we were not signed on to it, they do it. So they pay. We get the information in Ghana, even though we are not signed. Now we have signed on to it so that we can get from all jurisdictions.
Stakeholders are expected to meet to further deliberate on the CTN.
You're watching Business Live. We are taking a short break. When we come back, Sandy will be talking about microfinance institutions and customer challenges in the midst of the issues at Midland Savings and Loans. Stay with us.
Welcome back, and you're still watching Business Live. And some financial institutions have come under the spotlight in recent times for so many reasons. And the Midland issue is just an addition to what we are already experiencing in the system. So what exactly is the issue, especially with the microfinance sector? What are the numbers in the system now and institutions that are operating, and where exactly do we go from here? But before we go into the discussion, I have Philip Namfru who will be joining me for the discussion later. But before that, let's take a look at this data from the Bank of Ghana. So if you see the data from the Bank of Ghana, that is as of March 2018, a total number of 566 licensed microfinance institutions were in the system, and out of that, 211 are active but distressed or folded up. So it means that as of the time we were collecting this data, these 211 were seen to be active in the system, but they were actually not performing, so they folded up. And also, when you move on, it's saying that out of the total number of 141 rural and community banks, 37 of them are active, but they were distressed or folded up, and a total. And when we go on, a total of 272 were also there, and 707 institutions in the subsector, but representing about 38.5% of them at risk. So clearly the microfinance sector is not doing well, Philip. And so let's start the discussion. What do you think is wrong with the microfinance sector?
Okay, so Sandra, there are a multiplicity of reasons why the sector is not doing well. Top of it all is the skills factor. Okay. Microfinance is a pro-poor initiative, and by pro-poor I mean you are supposed to provide financial services to the poor segments in society. Okay. And it's not as people think it's related to banking. It is banking, but it's a different type of thing because you're dealing with poor people. So one of the problems that they face is the skills and competencies that these managers of these institutions bring to bear in the provision of these services. Also, there's also the fact where because of their skills and competencies, they can't really understand financial sector. But
Philip, that brings to bear the question of how they got into the system in the first place. I mean, regulations, how do they get to operate in the first place?
I know, I know the Bank of Ghana has said in past times that they have been a bit lax with the way licenses were issued. And you know, right now, currently, there's a freeze on microfinance licenses. And I think I want to just chip this in here. The microfinance subsector in Ghana is divided into 4 tiers.
Okay.
Tier 1 is where we find the savings and loans, rural and community banks. Tier 2 is where we find the microfinance institutions where we are accustomed to, the ones that have the name microfinance attached to their names.
Okay.
Then we have the Tier 3, and then the Tier 4 is the SUSU groups and cooperative societies and stuff like that. So some are also arguing that this tiered system is not really working for the people. And there are some of them, for example, the executive secretary, I beg your pardon, of the Ghana Association of Savings and Loans came out during their 8th annual general meeting and said Bank of Ghana needs to come out with a clear-cut policy direction for this sector, because you realize that most of the time the information we get is skewed towards banks. So you realize that some of the players in the field are calling, and because of the Midland issue, the savings and loan sector has come up again for these same challenges.
I think for a lot of people, the discussion has to be as to why the Bank of Ghana has allowed so many of such institutions in the system. Can there be a slim number of them operating? Because everybody gets up and they are trying to open 1 or 2 out there. Is it an issue of Bank of Ghana not doing its work properly to be able to trim the numbers that are in the system?
Okay, I wouldn't say it's not a case about them not doing their work properly. I would say they have made some good strides in recent times. Okay. And like I mentioned, the freeze on the microfinance licenses, the raising of their minimum capital requirements to cut back the number of them in the society, as well as a number of issues with them. So going forward, we should see more stringent measures to shape up what's happening in this sector.
But for me, one critical issue, and a lot of complaints have come, has to do with customer service, and what happened at Midland Savings and Loans is a clear example of what happened. If you have such issues, grievances, where are you supposed to channel them through? Okay, so we know the Bank of Ghana is a regulator of this industry, and they have what we call the Investigation and Consumer Reporting Office, ICRO. A lot of people don't know about this. A lot of people don't know, but if you go on their website, you would find it there. But I think they should come up with more education and awareness so that people below their literacy levels would have ways to seek redress. And you know, apart from the Bank of Ghana, each sector, for example, banks, they have the Ghana Association of Bankers. Savings and loans have their apex body, or you can channel some of these concerns. We don't have enough time, but what's the way forward for us regarding the microfinance more sector? Vigilance, more training for these managers of the institutions, and we should see some good results coming forward. All right, Zaro, so that's been the discussion. Yeah, more vigilance, I agree. I mean, we've talked about these challenges. People still seem to love to save with savings and loan companies. Well, that'll be all for tonight's program. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll be back same time tomorrow. All right, see you tomorrow.